the coronavirus pandemic is serious. Serious enough that there's this guy riding around like a unicyclist man of the apocalypse, wasting a perfectly good bottle of Lysol, might I add. This guy is posing as a mosquito, wondering where his food is. And the ghost of Aaliyah, she's out here doing meet and greets. Our jokes are getting as dark as the times we're living in. For every wholesome video of some opera singer serenading Italy, there's some young TikToker riding out their hospital stay on an IV drip and a trap beat.
Hey, yo, coronavirus check.
It's pretty easy to preach at people for making light of a situation that really just sucks. But laughing about horrible shit actually turns out to be a pretty good way to cope. Even the scientists say so. You see, when we laugh, our bodies release dopamine. You know, it's that happy chemical that makes us feel a little light and easy when we sip on some spirits. But laughter also helps life suck a little less, especially when the world seems to be falling apart.
You want to cope, so you try to make jokes about it. And in that way, it's that really wonderful ability that especially professional comedians have, which is to creatively find ways to make these violations benign.
Backseat drivers, they're all the same. Why are we going into the woods? Please let me go.
That's called the benign violation theory. Basically, it says when we turn stuff that can kill us into a joke, we make it easier to handle. Think of SNL's Debbie Downer, whose depression shouldn't be funny, but it is.
Speaking of heat, if this greenhouse effect keeps up, we'll all be living underwater.
Tom Stoppard says laughter is the sound of comprehension. And that comprehension helps us get through tough times, like right now, when we're living in the movie Contagion.
The average person touches their face 2,000 or 3,000 times a day.
You know, this whole dark humor thing, it's not unique to coronavirus. We've been laughing about tragedy for a while now. Last year, Dave Chappelle was trying to figure out what makes the opioid crisis a crisis.
It's wild because I even have insight into how the white community must have felt watching the black community go through the scourge of crack. Because I don't care either.
And back in 2015, Larry Wilmore was wondering why conservatives thought the Charleston shooting was a hate crime against Christianity.
He told his victims, I want to shoot black people. I think when he says black people, he means black people and not Christians.
Dark humor, it goes way back and was especially helpful during another pandemic. In the 80s, LGBTQ people were dying of AIDS, and it wasn't funny. The government was ignoring them. But to deal with the risk of HIV, they made jokes out of it. In 1987, cartoonist Howard Cruz started Wendell, a comic about boyfriends falling in love during and laughing through the AIDS crisis. 3 years later, the first HIV magazine, Disease Pariah News, ran columns about mop products like the AIDS Barbie. In the 90s, playwrights brought AIDS jokes to American theater. From Tony Kushner's Angels in America to Paul Rudnick's Jeffrey, gay plays came to life on stage by making wisecracks at characters who were about to die. They even made an AIDS musical. The play Poof Positive follows a man who deals with his own decay by trying to joke through it, just like AIDS patients did in real life.
Anger, denial, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Well, back up. Here comes my acceptance speech.
Robert Patrick survived the epidemic to remember 31 years later why he wrote it.
My good friend Robin, a former lover, came to see me to tell me that he was going to die. And he asked me to write a funny AIDS play. And I said, I can't write a funny AIDS play. And he said, of course you can, Bob. It's the biggest joke played on us since sex itself, and with the longest punchline.
Dark jokes don't always sit well with the culture. Gilbert Gottfried immediately sucked the life out of his crowd with this 9/11 joke.
I have to catch a flight to California. I can't get a direct flight. They said they have to stop at the Empire State Building first.
And Kathy Griffin lost gigs and then got investigated by the Secret Service for this stunt. But who really cares about getting canceled right now? To hell with clout. You're trapped in your house worried about getting the virus and dying. Well, most of you. Even if we survive this pandemic, we're all gonna die anyway. we might as well be laughing.